Hey everyone, Dr. Frunkey here with a really special unboxing video. You probably read it from the title, but I want this picture to be a preview of what we're about to experience here. So, I ordered this from Blade HQ, and just to their credit, if you ask them to draw a picture on the box, they go ahead and do that. And so they sent me this box with this really, really well done picture, honestly, of the world famous Boba Fett. And that has to do with what's inside the box. So let's go ahead and get right to it. I've already opened the box here. I made it so that my personal information doesn't leak out there. And what we have is a Microtech very special edition here. So we've got the Combat Troodon Hellhound BH. That stands for Bounty Hunter. In the standard apocalyptic finish. And this is serial number 97. So let's get right into it. Open it up. We've got the standard Microtech information on the inside, taking care of your knives. And there it is. In the full Mandalorian garb, we've got the Microtech Combat Troodon version of the Bounty Hunter. And they write that right there. BH, made 10/2017, serial number 97. Got the Mandalorian mastodon-like symbol going on right there. And just look at this thing. I was very tempted by this. I recently did a review on some Microtech out the fronts, and that was a really kind of an eye-opening experience for me because I really expected them to be kind of junky and not very well made, but then in fact they were really, really, really well made, and the quality was just there. So, and definitely one of the most fun things about this knife is this. The fact that you just launch that blade right out the front with such authority. And this one comes in with the very cool Hellhound Tanto grind. So, this knife is basically what Boba Fett would carry if he carried a knife, in my opinion. This is so cool. When I saw it, I know that they had made some Ultratechs in the Bounty Hunter theme, but the Ultratech honestly was a little bit small. I did review that knife along with the UTX 85. Just a little bit small for me, but the Combat Troodon has always been intriguing because it is the largest double action knife that Microtech makes. So this is a full-size knife. We're actually looking at a 3.8-inch blade of M390 and about a 5.5-inch handle, something like that. Actually, the handle is 5.7 inches, so 3.8-inch blade, 5.7-inch handle, and I don't think that includes this Skull Crusher, Kubaton tip that we've got going on back here, which in and of itself is just really wicked and very cool. This is probably the first knife that I've ever purchased that was strictly for fun. I am a big proponent of finding knives that are absolutely functional. I'm going to go ahead and bring out a few other knives for size comparison and just sort of overall discussion. Here's a Paramilitary 2. So you can see this is a very large overall size going on here. Here's a 0392, 3.5-inch blade on that one. My collection has kind of ranged all over the place from freaky and weird knives, but eventually I kind of found that I could get sort of an interesting looking knife that still had a lot of functionality, a lot like this Gavco. But this knife is probably one that I purchased strictly because it's just crazy. I'll go ahead and bring out a couple other knives just for comparison. There's a Kaiser Critical. Here's a Kaiser Feist, a little knife right there. A couple other knives. Let's bring out a Slim Foot by Arcform. That's an interesting little blade right there. Here's a Mass Drop and Ferrum Forge Falcon, small knife right there. Here's a Jake Hoback Quieback. I have a bunch of random knives. I keep bringing these out. I think people like seeing them, even though they probably don't really know what size they are. That is a Southern Grind Penguin. Here is a Michael Zeba S2 Double Tap. That is also a badass knife right there. But this is a big honking knife. It really, really is. This is not going to fit in my Nowpack case, my 1170 case. But I bought it strictly because I needed to know whether or not this is the coolest knife that's ever been made. And I say that for a number of reasons. Number one, everyone who likes Star Wars probably has some kind of an affinity for the character of Boba Fett. We're all nerds here. If you're watching this video, you're definitely a nerd. You call yourself a knife nerd if you want to, but a lot of us probably are into some of these interesting areas of society, and you know, Star Wars is a huge cultural phenomenon, and so if you like that, you probably like Boba Fett as a character. He's kind of a badass, and his styling is very unique, and so Microtech has done a couple of these like this. A few other guys out there are customizing knives. I know my buddy Fanatic Edge will do a Mandalorian treatment on any of your blades that you want with some Cerakote and some other treatments. So if you want a regular blade to look like that, you can totally send one to him. But this one they did in their own type of theme here, and it's definitely awesome. So what do we have is a sort of a green tint. This might be Cerakote or PVD. I'm not totally honest. I'm not totally knowledgeable as to what the coating really is here, but they've done a battle-worn finish to it. Who knows how they did it? Maybe they threw it on the ground, maybe they stone-washed it, maybe they scraped it with some stuff. But each one is actually going to be unique. So mine has its own sort of unique, sort of beat-up pattern to it. No two are the same. If you go and look at the pictures, each one is slightly different. And so that brings a bit of a unique feel to it. It also makes it a bit more, I would say, carry-friendly in that sense that it's already sort of torn up. So any marks that you put on it will only kind of add to that aesthetic. The blade itself is M390, and that's really special. It's an awesome steel. It's 0.13 inches in blade stock right there, so it's rather thin. Like the other Hellhound Tantos, it's hollow ground from about halfway down. The tip is flat ground, and there's a nice swedge up here. This is not sharpened on the top of the swedge right there. Comes to a very aggressive tip. You have these nice holes that are milled in the blade, and this blood groove or fuller, and this sort of saw-like sort of jimping. It's not really functional for grip. I mean, you could put your finger there if you really wanted to, but this is more for attacking. You know, just like I said in the Ultratech Hellhound Tanto, this knife is predominantly going to be for stabbing people and eviscerating them. So this knife really and truly was not purchased for an EDC type of role. This was basically bought as knife porn. This is really just me enjoying the hobby, enjoying a knife that's really well made and has an element of fun to it. There is just no sort of replacement for this out the front action. All day you can go back and forth just like this and just have tons and tons of fun. And it fires and locks up solidly. It has that very, very slightest hint of movement, but it's not actually moving. You just feel things kind of wiggle, but the blade itself is not moving. This one is actually considerably more solid than the Ultratech and the UTX that I handled before. The blade play is very, very minimal on this. Certainly no in and out blade play, minimal side to side, and even less up down. It's really a fraction of a hair of a millimeter, so really not all that bad. But I wanted to show this knife to you guys. I would say that the one thing that really makes this knife not attractive to most people is going to be the price. This thing costs an absolutely unreasonable $785. Now, I was fortunate enough to be able to purchase this myself, so that's cool and all, but I don't want to lord that over anybody. You just have to be aware that this knife is ridiculously expensive, and I'm just going to be perfectly honest. That is way too expensive, but I just had to know whether this was the single coolest knife of all time, because I've always wanted a combat Troodon. I've always wanted one of the bounty hunters, and finally they released it in this size with this blade. And so I'm excited to use this. I'm totally going to carry this knife and see how it is. I'm a little bit concerned about this spike on the back here. The way I like to carry my knives in the waistband, that is totally going to jab me in the gut, so we'll see how that goes. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Tell me what you think of the Microtech Combat Troodon Bounty Hunter, the full Boba Fett experience, and I will be certain to get back to you with some more videos on this and a final diagnosis in the future. Go over and check me out on Instagram at Dr. Frunkey. Follow me there. Click like and subscribe to my channel right here, guys. And as always, this is Dr. Frunkey saying, take care.